Let me tell you something right now, and I want you to hear me like your future depends on it, because it just might. We are standing at a crossroad, not just two countries, not just India and Pakistan, but two entire histories staring each other down like they've done for decades. But today, the stakes feel different. Today, the whispers are louder. The air is heavier, because somewhere, behind closed doors and locked vaults, a secret strike plan just got leaked. Yeah, you heard me. Somebody somewhere is talking, and what they're saying, it ain't peace talks, it's war drums. Now, I know you're thinking, man, we've heard this before. Every few years, it's the same noise, same threats, same tension. But no. This time, it's like the air before a thunderstorm. The kind of silence that ain't peaceful. It's the kind that shakes you. It's the kind where you just know something big's coming, and you don't know if you'll make it through the other side unchanged. You see, India isn't playing the same game anymore. It's not the India of the past, taking hits and offering olive branches while getting thorns in return. This is a new India, strategic, calculated, quiet but loud where it counts, and Pakistan, let's not get it twisted. That nation isn't sleeping either, it's watching. It's posturing. It's got its eyes on every movement, every radar, every headline. But let's talk about this leak, because when a strike plan gets out, not rumored, not speculated, but leaked, it's no accident. That's not clumsiness. That's a move. That's someone dropping a chess piece on purpose to test the reaction. Someone's trying to see if the other flinches. It's a warning shot without firing a bullet. And when that happens between two nuclear powers, between two nations with history carved in blood and fire, you better believe the whole world starts watching. Now here's the thing, most people will panic. They'll scroll the news, chew their nails, shout at the TV, but that ain't what real thinkers do. That's not what the wise do. The wise step back. They analyze. They ask why now, who benefits from this tension. Because, let me be clear, war is never just about borders. It's not just soldiers and strategy. It's about money. It's about influence. It's about who gets to call the shots in the region. And let me tell you something about India. It's not the same player it used to be. Economically, it's roaring. Technologically, it's leading. Militarily, it's evolving faster than anybody predicted. You think that Agni, V, and the Brahmos were the end of it? No, India's playing on a level now where satellites don't just orbit. They spy, they lock, they target. Hypersonic tech, drone warfare, next-gen AI-backed defense mechanisms. India's bringing a different toolkit to this arena. Quiet, yes, but precise, ready, and here's where it gets deeper. You think this strike plan was just a leak, or do you think maybe, just maybe, it was intentional? Because sometimes you leak what you want your enemy to see. You leak one page to make them sweat about the 99 they haven't seen. That's mind warfare. That's psychological chess. That's how you make your enemy flinch before the game even starts. But hold on now. Don't go thinking this is just some mind game between two generals. Because the people are watching, and they are tired of tension, tired of flashpoints, tired of being used as pawns. Both nations are full of folks who just want to live, who want their kids to go to school, who want to wake up to good news and not sirens. So when you say conflict inevitable, I say this, it's only inevitable if egos stay in charge. It's only inevitable if wisdom is ignored, because war ain't never brave. It's a failure of imagination, a failure to solve what words couldn't. But if you back a tiger into a corner, don't act surprised when it pounces. And India, right now, that tiger's got eyes wide open. It's calm, it's focused, but it ain't asleep. And Pakistan, it's got its claws out too, which means this moment, this exact second isn't about victory. It's about decision. It's about whether cooler heads prevail or whether someone makes a move that can't be undone. You know, they say power reveals, and what we're seeing now, power being tested. You can measure a nation's power not just by its missiles, but by its discipline, by how it reacts when provoked, by whether it lets pride dictate policy or lets strategy guide silence. And that's where India's playing a different tune, because silence ain't always weakness. Sometimes it's a storm holding its breath. But let's zoom out. You think this leak is just a South Asian affair? Oh no, Washington's watching, Beijing's calculating, Moscow's listening, the Gulf is taking notes. Because if these two nations move toward war, the ripple won't be regional, it'll be global. Trade routes, oil prices, alliances, every domino is connected, and some people, let me tell you, some people are hoping that war breaks out, because war is a business and fear is profitable. That's why you've got to watch not just who's shouting, but who's silent. Who's pushing the buttons, not in Delhi or Islamabad, but in back rooms in foreign capitals. Who's funding what? Who's leaking what? Who's selling what to whom? Because the war might be between two neighbors, but the beneficiaries might be continents away, counting dollars and watching the fire spread. And right now, you have to look at this moment as a fork in the road. One path leads to escalation, one spark, and the world's holding its breath. But the other path, that's the one the brave take, the wise, the disciplined, that's the path where leaders don't just protect territory, they protect generations. Let me tell you a story. There was a man once, proud, strong, full of fire, always ready to fight. Thought honor came from the battlefield, until one day he looked into the eyes of his son and realized that real strength, it's knowing you can fight and choosing not to. Real victory isn't in the destruction, it's in restraint, it's in protecting what truly matters, and right now, both India and Pakistan stand on that edge. Both have firepower, both have history, but also, both have people who deserve peace, people who have lived too long under the shadow of war, people who have been told that conflict is their destiny. But let me be clear, destiny is written by those bold enough to rewrite it. And maybe, just maybe, this is the time to do it. But don't get it twisted. Peace doesn't mean weakness. No, peace must be defended strategically, intelligently, and yes, with strength. Because sometimes in order to protect peace, you gotta let the world know you're ready for war. Even if you pray, you never have to fight it. So what do we do now? We stay alert, we stay aware, but we don't panic. We don't let media frenzy dictate our mood. We seek clarity. We push our leaders to think beyond ego and legacy. And most of all, we hope, not blindly but boldly, because there's nothing inevitable about war. But there's also nothing accidental about peace. Peace is forged, peace is planned, and peace is chosen. I want every listener to understand something. The power lies with the people too. You think war is just tanks and jets? No, it's fueled by public opinion. It's kept alive by division. But when the people say enough, when they demand dialogue over destruction, that changes everything. And if this secret strike plan truly exists, if there really is a roadmap to war sitting on some dusty desk, then someone, somewhere has the power to burn that paper, to choose a different path, because the greatest power a nation has isn't its arsenal. It's its ability to choose what kind of future it builds. You can build a legacy of retaliation, or you can build a legacy of resilience. You can chase pride, or you can protect purpose, but you can't do both. And India has earned its right to rise. It's earned its seat at the table. Not through war, but through innovation, through resilience, through vision. Don't trade that for a battlefield victory that leaves behind scars deeper than any border dispute. As for Pakistan, it too has choices to make. It can invest in a future of hope, of stability, of growth, or it can keep dancing with the past. But here's what history teaches us. Those who don't evolve get left behind. So is conflict inevitable only if we let it be, only if the loudest voices drown out the wisest, only if fear dictates the future, but if wisdom rises, if strength is tempered with strategy, if pride is balanced by purpose, then no, conflict is not inevitable. In fact, something far more powerful is possible. A moment where two nations, long divided, choose elevation over escalation, where they shock the world, not with missiles, but with maturity. And that would be the real secret plan, not a strike, but a shift, not war, but wisdom, not enemies, but evolution. So don't let the headlines fool you. Don't let the fear win. Let this moment be the turning point. Let this be the chapter where we say, we saw the fire coming, and we chose water, because courage isn't pulling the trigger, it's putting the weapon down and choosing to lead anyway, and that's the kind of power that shakes the world. That's the kind of power that lasts, and that, my friend, is the power we need now. In the charged theater of international relations, where each movement on the chessboard is scrutinized and echoed in diplomatic chambers, a nation's silence is rarely a void. It is often a deliberate, calculated signal. In the case of India, that silence during moments of intense regional pressure, especially with Pakistanis, not a sign of retreat, indecision, or weakness. It is strategic posture. It is a doctrine of strength, cloaked in calm. When tensions mount, as they often do between these two nuclear-armed neighbors, India's refusal to immediately react with retaliatory rhetoric or performative aggression is not a lapse in leadership. It is a masterstroke in restraint, reinforced by the understanding that true power does not always need to raise its voice. In 2025, when reports of a leaked Indian strike plan began circulating in the media, global analysts scrambled to interpret New Delhi's unusually quiet response. No aggressive press conferences, no loud troop mobilizations at the border, no inflammatory statements from the Ministry of External Affairs. The silence was deafening, and it left observers confused. Because in a region known for reactive diplomacy, silence is unexpected. But therein lies the brilliance. India was not mute. It was measuring, it was gauging intent, studying the environment, and reinforcing its capacity without announcing it. What appeared to be passivity was, in reality, a deliberate recalibration of the country's strategic doctrine. That doctrine, though shaped by years of asymmetric conflict and border skirmishes, has evolved significantly since the early 2000s. India has always possessed the military depth to respond decisively to provocations, yet in the past, it frequently opted for international mediation and restraint. The world, especially those unfamiliar with the psychology of Indian statecraft, misunderstood that as hesitancy, but today's India has shed that outdated image. Silence is no longer about indecision, it's about leverage. It's about communicating through non-communication. It's about knowing when to pause not out of fear, but because you've already laid your pieces on the board, waiting for your opponent to blink first. A clear example of this emerged when tensions spiked across the line of control, following credible intelligence suggesting a possible terrorist infiltration from Pakistani territory. The Indian government did not rush to the podium. No chest thumping, no sensationalist headlines were fed by official sources. Instead, security operations were executed in surgical precision, far from the public eye. Diplomats remained tight-lipped, and military chiefs deferred to operational secrecy. Yet, in the background, India's intelligence grid buzzed with activity, satellite reconnaissance intensified, cyber units went on high alert, and naval deployments quietly adjusted posture in the Arabian Sea. The silence wasn't born out of uncertainty, it was confidence. It was a nation saying, "We see everything, we know what to do, and we'll do it on our terms." That is the language of a matured power. Silence during such high-stakes moments is a tool of psychological warfare as well. It disorients the adversary. When your enemy expects a punch and instead gets a calm stare, they begin to doubt their assumptions. Is India planning something massive behind the scenes? Is there an unannounced military exercise underway? Is there a decoy operation designed to confuse? The fog of uncertainty creates space for mistakes on the other side. By holding back words, India creates mental pressure, forcing the opposition to act out of speculation, not intelligence. Moreover, this silence is deeply rooted in India's cultural and civilizational psyche. It's a country that has endured millennia of invasions, occupations, and colonial rule, not through chaos, but through resilience and patience. The Indian strategic mind does not equate shouting with power. The most powerful ideas in Indian history have always been expressed in calm clarity, and that philosophy now permeates its military and diplomatic posture. India is not the kind of nation to throw punches in the dark. It waits for the light, and then strikes with accuracy. The doctrine of silence is also reinforced by India's technological ascent. In 2025, India is not just a regional power. It is a space power, a nuclear power, a cyber power. It has invested in AI-driven surveillance systems, hypersonic missile research, and quantum encryption. It has launched constellations of satellites that provide 24/7 surveillance of hostile zones. And it has integrated its military commands with centralized, real-time data feedback systems. This level of preparedness enables it to adopt a quieter public stance because the real work, the preparation, the monitoring, the positioning, is happening beyond public view. The era of reactive warfare is over. The era of anticipatory strategy has arrived. Pakistan, by contrast, often relies on rhetorical escalation to send signals. It mobilizes public sentiment, utilizes religious narrative framing, and leans heavily on global sympathy to shift narratives. Its power projection still operates within the bounds of 20th century diplomacy, where visibility is mistaken for strength. India, however, is playing a longer, quieter, more patient game, one that does not seek momentary approval but long-term regional recalibration. Internationally, this strategic silence has shifted perceptions. Countries like the United States, France, Japan, and even Middle Eastern powers have begun treating India not as a volatile South Asian state, but as a reliable global partner. Its silence in volatile periods becomes reassurance to allies, not suspicion. It signals stability, not risk, and in a world that fears instability in the Indo-Pacific, India's quiet confidence has earned its strategic capital. This silence also operates as a shield against misinformation. In the age of AI-generated content, deepfakes, and viral disinformation, every word uttered by a state can be twisted, reused, or weaponized. By choosing diplomatic silence, India limits the ammunition available to its adversaries. It avoids adding fuel to fires lit by foreign media or proxy networks. It maintains control of the narrative by not participating in the noise. Some may question whether this silence is sustainable. After all, populations demand answers, and media ecosystems thrive on statements. But India has mastered the balance. It offers limited, controlled updates that reveal just enough to satisfy public curiosity without compromising operations. It channels citizen energy into productive nationalism, strengthening the economy, defense investments, and tech innovation, rather than war hysteria. The silence also empowers its allies to speak on its behalf. When tensions rise, you'll often see U.S. defense officials, EU representatives, or even Middle Eastern think tanks defending India's restraint. That's the soft power of silence. It lets others carry your message, lending it credibility, neutrality, and diplomatic heft. India understands that in today's world, perception is as powerful as projection, and the global perception is this: India is the adult in the room, but none of this would be possible without a foundational shift that occurred over the past decade. It marked the birth of India's assertive military doctrine backed by innovation. This doctrine doesn't just respond to threats, it predicts them. It doesn't just retaliate, it reshapes the battlefield. It includes advanced missile shields, rapid deployment forces, multi-theater coordination protocols, and command structures that enable real-time coordination across Army, Navy, Air Force, cyber, and space. This doctrine was built not just in labs and war colleges, but in boardrooms and universities. India's defense technology boom has created homegrown systems that rival imported ones. Startups collaborate with DRDO. Engineers work alongside generals. Policy think tanks simulate conflict scenarios in partnership with AI experts. And at the top of it all is a political leadership that understands timing is as critical as strength. So when India chooses diplomatic silence during provocations, it's not an omission. It's a performance of strength through stillness, of dominance through discretion. It forces others to ask, what does India know that we don't? What is it planning that it's not saying? That psychological edge is sometimes more powerful than a squadron of jets on a runway. In 2025, as geopolitical theaters grow more complex and alliances more transactional, India's ability to remain silent in the face of provocation gives it an asymmetric advantage, because the loudest voice isn't always the most heard. The stillest presence often has the firmest control, and silence, wielded strategically, becomes the sharpest sword of all.